Hello, I hope you're well and warm. It's about 12 degrees outside. I just checked by the phone. I didn't walk outside to check. I haven't been outside today. I think it was about 6 when I got up this morning. So I hope you're warm wherever you are. And my house is okay. It's okay warm, but having the jacket on and thank God for sheep and warm wool caps for bald heads. So I am excited to share some of this information with you today. I'm going to see if I can monitor the comments, and I've got a little bit of experience with this live streaming, but I don't have a lot, and I'm not completely sure if I am going to see all of. I don't think I'll see comments from LinkedIn or Facebook. I'm not real sure, but I think that if you make comments in YouTube, if you're seeing this on YouTube, and you put comments in there, I think I will that will be registered on my system here, and so feel free to comment if you're watching, and have any thoughts or questions along the way. Go ahead and pop them in there, and if I see them, I will respond. I've got them up next to my monitor here, so I should be able to see them if you're on the system that returns those comments to me. And basically what I want to do today is to give you a sense of what is possible for you with this particular method of renegotiating your relationship with things, with yourself, with others, with life in general. It's a pretty powerful method for practicing a different approach. And in general, it's really helpful for folks who, if you find yourself stuck for reasons that you can't really quite explain, maybe you're finding yourself after several years of therapy or several years of a lot of different kind of self-help kinds of things and a lot of personal growth work, and you still find yourself playing out old patterns. And I'm sure that in a lot of ways you have learned a lot about that and learned a lot about self-acceptance and navigating around in ways that may be more graceful than you used to do. And maybe you haven't. Maybe you're still really struggling with that dynamic. But what this practice is something that can really transcend a lot of the psychology that even the more modern psychology that's sort of attempts to train us to say, just to believe something different about ourselves, just love yourself, or just be patient with yourself, or let go of the inner critic, or don't let the inner critic get to you, or there's all kinds of sort of beliefs or aphorisms or things that well-meaning and wise teachers will say that can help move, and you can learn some grace. The thing that this does is it's an experiential practice that gives you the opportunity to have experiences, deep inner experiences, in ways that you can train yourself. You can renegotiate your own relationship with your inner thoughts and with your different parts of yourself that come up that can be gnarly and difficult to deal with. This is a way to practice a different way to do that with more intentionality. And it's a way to engage your own deep creativity in ways that can get closer down to the roots of things, and also that can help you marry the innate energies within you in ways that can also be married with your conscious mind and your willpower and your decision making in such a way that you can kind of bring all of these things together, your innate creativity, and also the value of just accepting things as they are, and then marrying that with the intentionality about, okay, now what? So it's a fascinating marriage that I have not encountered quite in this way in my experience in the last several decades of working through these kinds of things and studying them. I've done a lot of personal growth work since my teens in a lot of different kinds of ways, as I imagine you have too. And this is just what I've come up with. And so what I'm going to do today is to go through a little bit more of an explanation of what that kind of where this is all coming from, and so that maybe you can understand this a little better. I've been trying to do a better job of explaining this so that it makes sense to people over the last few years. I've done this work now since 2014, and I've done a lot of individual work and group work with folks. And I'm still trying to get better at communicating about it to folks who might enjoy this work but don't know what the heck I'm talking about. So, so that's kind of been my work. So what I'm gonna do here is see if I can shift over to this other screen share for a few minutes and give you a sense of what I'm going to do here. So let's see here. So the first part of the course that I offer, the first part of this work, which overall is called Live Musically, is, I'll go ahead and give you the big picture of the course overall. It's broken down into 3 different sections, and one is to pay attention to the way we perceive things and the way we take in information from the outside, and then the second part is how do we connect with the world, how do we make contact with things, how do we make contact with ourselves in this experience of living, and then the third area is reflecting. We do our own reflecting, we do our own expressing. We do our own self-reflection, and then we go back to taking in information. So it's this circle of experiences that we engage in on an ongoing basis. And so if we step into the perceive part, there's different aspects of that, which I'm not going to go into right here. There's different aspects of how we take in this kind of information, how we sort of break it down, and I can go into to this just momentarily. The initial idea here is that your perspective is unique and legit and essential, and that's the theme for the first module of this course. And I'm just going to go ahead and allude to it a little bit briefly here. The core idea is that your perspective as an individual in a reality that you may start to think of, that a lot of us have been thinking of over the last few years, and some of us for the last several thousand years, is that we're in this unity kind of a thing. There's this unity of existence, and that we're a piece of it. But this whole idea of, but I'm a piece and I'm a unique piece is a challenging thing to sort of wrap our minds around. But as we explore this stuff in this way that I do it, we dive into the taproot of things, to really root ourselves in as close to the nature of reality itself as we can. And of course, now we're looking at a quantum reality, so things get even weirder. But then we root ourselves, and then we look at how we can apply the new perspective that taproot gives us, and so how do we apply that awareness and that knowledge, and then we engage in a practice that can help us to shift the way we operate going forward. So I'm going to stop there and just kind of come on back into the deeper level of what I want to share with you today, which is that your perspective is unique and legit and essential, and in the midst of that, we have some questions to explore. And so I am personally, let's see if I can do this so that I can actually see me here. This is one of the things that I'm kind of working with to see if I can make some of these things work. That's not going to work. But it basically took decades to collect all the various kinds of experiences that I've had. I started off in social work, went into statistics. I was a statistician for several years and did consulting in university settings for faculty on PhD research, and came to North Carolina to work on a PhD and studied statistics. And so that was part of my background, is to try to understand larger scale social systems. I was actually working on studying the global maldistribution of food. So it was actually true that what I was trying to do was to try to learn the things that we could do to actually make a difference in world hunger. So I have the capacity to think big. So I'm not sure if that's a good thing or not, but it's just the truth. So, but this really isn't about me. It's really about addressing your own challenges and giving you what you need to be successful. It's about helping you. Maybe you're at some sort of a crossroads, or maybe you're hearing a deeper call, and about helping you to learn a profoundly innovative approach to doing things differently. Maybe just learning to improvise on a piano without embarrassing yourself or feeling bad about yourself, so that you can, navigate all kinds of unknowns. You can learn the things that you learn at the piano that can really help you in other kinds of areas of your life as well. So this is a path that can really help you get from where you are to where you most want to be. And this is the scheme for the first module of how we can approach this stuff. And so this really is about dealing with the kinds of common struggles that most people have, and a lot of adults, and really capable and successful adults, still find themselves frustrated by being chained to old beliefs and habits, discouraged by brutal self-talk, and overwhelmed with uncertainty. And so the 3 simple steps that I offer in this first module of this course is to look at the essential, what I call the essential skill, and why that is so vital, why it is so essential and vital, and why sound improvisation is so helpful in this, learning this essential skill. And so step 2 is to apply what I call the Holy Trinity of improv to this, and then to do a little listening meditation. And so that's part of what we're going to engage in today. And this is just part 1 of an overall course, but I want to give you as good an introduction to this as I can today. So we're going to look at why you've been stuck, and that whatever you may have been stuck in, that not only is there a way through for you, but that the process can be fun as well as transformative. And I'll show you this essential skill that you need for your genuine liberation, and the 3 foundational questions that all living things need to address, and a unique way to successfully address them that I call the Holy Trinity of Improv. And then what sound improvisation and the piano have to do with all this, and how the piano can become a close friend and ally in many levels of your life going forward. So here's how this module fits into the overall Live Musically in 90 Days course. So in this module, you'll learn this practice for developing heightened awareness without having to cave to old habits and patterns. And this one skill, when developed and honed over time, is a game changer in all kinds of ways. So the most essential, valuable skill you could possibly learn is to navigate the unknown masterfully. And when we don't do this well, we become victims of our circumstances and our past, and we fall prey to old habits and generational patterns and beliefs and strategies that were formed long before in another time. And we get confused and frustrated when things don't seem to flow very well. And if this continues unaddressed, it can lead to boredom and dissatisfaction, discouragement and regret. And on the other hand, navigating the unknown skillfully plants you deeply in the blessings of living, and you resonate naturally with the gifts of love and grace. So consider the roots of reality. At root, we're faced with navigating our lot in life as best we can, and this quote expresses something deeply vital. And clearly we're at a unique moment in human history, and not only for reasons you may be thinking about right now. Because in only the past 100 years have we really learned, the best minds among us have learned that as far as we know, in terms of the truth of our situation, reality consists of energy and matter trading places with each other probabilistically. And no matter how highly sophisticated our methods, the future, in reality and life, is still unpredictable and persistently unknowable. So if you want to live well, the most essential skill you could possibly learn is to navigate the unknown with mastery. And when we can start to apply this skill, you realize that accessing parts of your brain you don't usually tap, and possibilities show up. I'm sorry. I am reading this part. Let's see if I can read it well. When you start to apply this skill, you realize you're accessing parts of your brain you don't usually tap, and possibilities show up that normally don't occur to you. You start to have more moments of being pleasantly surprised, and you have more and more experience as what we call synchronicity. So let's jump back into this. So are you ready for a mind blower? Let's see if I can. So what makes you unique isn't your name, your face shape, your history and memories, your emotions, or even how you think. The developmental biologist Bruce Lipton says that the thing that makes you truly unique from an objectively cellular point of view is literally how you perceive the world. It's kind of mind-building, but it's fascinating, and I won't take the time to sort of go into that, but he talks about it from a cellular level, and that the things that makes our cells different from each other, from my liver cells to your liver cells, are the way that those cells perceive the environment. And if you aggregate that across all of our cells, the thing that really makes us biologically unique from each other is the way we perceive the world. And so we have quantum mechanics suggesting that uncertainty is a basic feature of reality, and then biology telling us that your perception of that reality is what makes you unique among all living things. Okay, so how can you adapt and function and get all your various needs met for security and connection and fulfillment, knowing that each thing you know always leads to a whole bunch of other things you don't? And how can you share and benefit from your perspective and your unique and precious gifts so that you can make the difference that you most want to make? How do you go where you know you want to go when you know you don't know what you don't know? I'm going to see if I can if I can show up again here. Looks like I may not be able to. I should be able to shift that star field so that you can see me, and that software just isn't quite working, so that's okay. So how do you go where you know you want to go when you know you don't know what you don't know? And what's sound and the piano got to do with it? Well, when the terrain is this weird, it helps to have a compass that keeps bringing us back to three foundational questions that can ground us as we go. 1, what is happening now? 2, who am I now? And 3, what do I do now? So that first question, what is happening now? You know, that's the thing that as soon as you imagine just as soon as you're launched out into, you know, when we're birthed, we're out there and looking around going, what's going on now? You know, what is this? And we're always having to pay attention to what's happening in the environment. And then the second question is, well, who am I in the midst of this? What's my place in all of this? And then 3, okay, what do I do with that information? Do I run from the tiger that's coming around the corner? Do I sign up for grad school? Do I go out with this person? Do I divorce this person? Do I go get a peanut butter sandwich? Do I read this book? Just an ongoing series of decisions. And we can address these questions more consciously and authentically with what I call the Holy Trinity of Improv. This helps us to engage the piano and life mindfully and creatively in better alignment with the direction that we most want to go. So part 1 of the Holy Trinity addresses what is happening now through listening carefully. It's first, and we must always come back to it. And like each of the others, this is much easier said than done. Part 2 of the Holy Trinity addresses, who am I now? Who am I now? By feeling deeply. We pay attention to the body and the emotions and psyche and spirit, noticing whatever is presenting itself to our attention. Part 3 addresses, what do I do now? By playing it out. We draw from the vast array of options that are available, and then we make decisions about how we express ourselves, and we decide what to do, what to play, what to say, how to move. And then we listen again to what we just did, and the cycle starts over again. And the Holy Trinity is surprisingly powerful for helping you play more musically. And by the way, with this method, you don't need any prior piano or musical training or experience whatsoever. When you start to apply this on the piano as a practice, navigating the various aspects of the piano in different kinds of ways, then we start to learn different approaches internally for navigating our own thoughts as they appear and as they emerge. And we begin to notice different possibilities, that different ways that we could engage with the piano, and then that trains us for different ways we could engage in other aspects of our lives as well. My cat is over here calling to me. So what's sound got to do with this? Well, by attending to the flow of energy running through you and expressing yourself authentically with sound, you plug in beneath your monkey mind and direct and connect with yourself and others through direct experience. And as we all know, sound is a profoundly powerful force. A lot of people are becoming more attuned these days to the power of sound for shifting things, and the power of music for shifting things. You know, we all have a deep love of music, and we have our connection to that, and that's for really innately physical and innately creational and primordial reasons, I think. So in the midst of our connection with sound, we connect to the divine in ways that it's really almost impossible to do in other ways. And in the midst of that lie the seeds of possibility. So it was said by a guy named Hans Jenny that sound is the creative principle, and that it must be regarded as primordial. And that no single phenomenon or form has the power to originate things, but that this power is inherent in tone and in sound. And so it's no accident that sound initiates creation in creation stories around the world. And God said, in the beginning was the Word, in the beginning was Brahman, with whom was the Word. In the center of the universe she sang. So pulling all of this into a coherent framework gets the brain smoking a little bit, but hang on with me for just a few more minutes, because in the end this work is about play and simplicity. So for the next few minutes, I'm just going to give you a big picture so that you can feel into where all this comes from. So Einstein said that one of the basic questions for us is whether the universe is a friendly place. Or put another way, can we really trust the unknown? And Howard Thurman, who was one of Martin Luther King's mentors, said, don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes people come alive, and go do that. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive. So, what I'm wanting to share with you in this presentation today, and in this overall experience, is to give you a sense of the marriage between piano improv and your own place in the world. What it is that what it is that makes you come alive, what it is that brought you here, what it is that brings you here, where do you want to go in your life, and what is your deep call? What is your deep wish in things? I'm looking to see if there's anybody, any comments in here. I don't see any. I see one heart. Somebody loved this. Somebody's loving this. Thank you for being here and watching and checking it out. I'd love to hear what you are thinking and what your questions might be. I'm going to spend a few more minutes here just being here and chatting and blabbing. And if there's anything that you would like to ask or to comment on, feel free to put that in the comments, and I will respond if you do. In the meantime, basically this is a practice that's about a lot of different things, and one of which is learning how to renegotiate this relationship with yourself. And a lot of people have all kinds of ideas about the piano, about improvising on a piano, that you think it's really hard, and that belief in itself, I think, in a lot of ways, is a metaphor for a lot of other beliefs that you may have about things in general. But I think what I'll do next here is to just start and sort of lean in on the piano a little bit, just to give you a little bit of a sense of how this could play out on the piano, and how all these ideas, that kind of esoteric ideas that I'm bringing to the table, what it actually looks like on a piano. So what I'm going to do, I guess next, is to just let you know that one of the reasons that the piano, a lot of people think the piano is hard, is because you've got these 12 notes that go from here to here, and then they repeat. And so you've got all these 12 different notes, and so it's like if you're just playing any of those 12 notes, it just sounds, you could get there and do that for a little while and have fun with it, and sometimes that may be exactly what you want to be playing, and because that may be exactly how you're feeling. And that's cool. And that also has a shelf life. You can sort of do this for a little while, but then it starts to get boring. And so the question becomes, how can you play in a way that you can really play something that's beautiful, that you can play something with confidence and ease without spending a ton of time learning stuff? And really what it boils down to is that you need to be able to narrow down the subset of notes that are available there to a set of notes that will sound good together if you're just playing those notes. And so most commonly, like one approach to do that is to just play the white notes. So if you're just playing the white notes, I'm playing as randomly as I can. It's not bad. You can sit there and you can do that, and if you apply a little bit more intentionality to it, and instead of just what I was doing just then was just like literally trying to play badly, just to demonstrate that it's not really all that bad. If you actually brought some just natural aesthetic to it, then you would just be thinking about, and I'm just playing, I'm really just kind of, and what I did wasn't technically difficult, and I didn't really even know what I was going to do until I played the next note. I just tried notes. I just sat there and I just played with some sensitivity and some aesthetic for beauty, just wanting to play something beautiful. And so it's, if you know a set of notes to play that will sound good together, then it's really not that difficult to play something nice. And by the same token, if you were just playing the black notes by themselves without any of the white notes, it's like those, It's like those pentatonic drums that you can play any of the notes on the drum and it'll sound nice. So it's the same idea, whether you're playing just the white notes or the black notes. The trick is when you start incorporating a mixture of the black notes and the white notes. Then it starts to get more wonky and more challenging to figure out which notes to play in any key. Well, I'm going to do a class tomorrow that will show you how to play the notes in any key, in all 12 keys, in all 12 normal major keys, the most common scales that are used in a lot of music, a lot of Western music. I'd say probably 98% of Western music, because jazz is such a small part of Western music. Jazz does incorporate more other kinds of scales, but most music in the West is based on these 12 scales. And so I can show you how to play in all of those 12 scales in an hour. And what I'm going to do now is to give you just a taste of what that looks like. So let's say I just say let's play in the key of what I call 3 sharps. And so in the key of 3 sharps, you're playing. Let's see here. Let me turn on my camera here so that you can see this. Is that working? You're not seeing that camera, are you? Let's see if I can turn that on. I bet you I can. I bet you. Let's see if I can get that other keyboard up so you can kind of see a little bit more. We can see that at least. So, I don't know why you're not seeing. Anyway, sorry that you can't see my fingers on the keyboard, but anyway, you can at least see the notes. So the black notes that I'm playing in the key of 3 sharps are those 3 black notes. I'll just sort of I'll explain why in the class, but those are the 3 black notes that you play, and then those are the 4 white notes that you play in the key of 3 sharps. So those are the notes that you play. So as long as you know that those are the notes, and there's a lot of things that I was doing in there that you might look at and go, oh, well, that's easy for you, Daniel. But the point is not to compare yourself to what I'm doing, but to notice that it's possible to actually do some very simple things with just a little bit of awareness of which notes to play and which notes to avoid, to begin to play things that are beautiful. That you could actually start doing that, and there's nothing about skill that I'm applying here. There's nothing about finger capability that I'm doing that you couldn't do. There's nothing here that I'm doing that you couldn't do. If you can type, you can do this. In fact, actually, this is easier than typing. And you can actually play combinations of notes that you might not normally think of. If for example, if you are someone who has piano experience and background and knowledge of music theory, what this approach does is it opens up the gates. You can start playing combinations of notes that you wouldn't normally think of because they don't fit into the normal topology of music theory and chord structures, and you don't usually play a chord like that. You could play it and you could come up with the name for it, F minor 7 flat 5 or F minor 9 flat 5, you could say. But why do all that when all you have to do is just look down and go, well, let's see here, these notes are in the key of 3 sharps, let's just play all of them together and see what it sounds like. It's like it just all of a sudden it just opens up things that I'm doing really is I'm listening. I'm just listening for what would be nice. I didn't expect that, which made me want to do that. So it's that kind of thing. It's like you're really focused more on the sound. I started recently thinking of this as a sound-centered theory. It's a sound-centered, I don't even want to call it a theory. It's a sound-centered practice. It's a sound-centered mindfulness practice that gives you a different way to relate to a piano, and which gives you a different way to relate to your own beliefs, a different way to relate to your own experience, a different way to relate to your own inner critic, a different way to relate to your own beliefs and paradigms and worldviews. It's also a really fun experience to be able to just sit down at a piano and do stuff that you never thought you'd be able to do. And so the upsides to this practice are just so many, and so fascinating. And so I hope this has been helpful in helping you to get a sense of what this is about. Because I've struggled, because a lot of people just sort of hear about this and think, oh, this is piano, this is piano improvisation. It's like, oh, there's tons of piano improvisation methods out there, and I can't play the piano, and I'm not a musician, and so people don't even consider it, because you're operating from, if you're thinking that, then you're operating from this this belief that is exactly the kind of thing that I'm working to help with, to help overcome that idea. Because it's really, if you love music and if you can type, then you can do this. And so that idea that you're not a musician is just simply it's an idea that I can appreciate in the kind of same way that I've often said to myself that I'm not an artist, I'm not a visual artist, or I'm not a performer, or I'm not an actor. And I've learned over the years that those beliefs, that those ideas about how we define ourselves, it's just something that's floating around up here, and it came from somewhere. It's an idea that came from somewhere. It's a belief that came from somewhere. Maybe a childhood experience, or maybe somebody. I've heard some really horrible things over the last few years about people who tell stories about in their childhood that they were told, please stop singing, or could you just mouth the words, and not sing, or really discouraged from playing the piano because some parent was frustrated and in a mood that day, and they said something that affected their child's beliefs about their capabilities for the rest of their lives. And it's a lot of these ideas that we have are things that came. It's a thought that came from somewhere. And we can actually begin to reprogram those thoughts. And it can be a challenge to do that, because there's a sense of safety in some of those kinds of beliefs that we have. But this is a way to begin to massage those beliefs in a way that you can renegotiate that relationship with yourself gently, and over time, with some grace and some different kinds of experiences. So let's see here. What else would I like to say? It's coming on. I kind of didn't want to go on for too long here. But if you are out there and listening to this and you have any thoughts or questions about anything that I've been saying, feel free to pop it in the comments. And I think if you're on YouTube, I can see the comments. And if you're not on YouTube, if you leave a comment wherever you are on whatever platform, if it's LinkedIn or Facebook or wherever, just leave a comment and I'll get back to you after this, because I think I can only see comments from, let's see here what I'm seeing, from YouTube and my Facebook page. So I'm just going to post something here. Are you seeing this? My cat is wanting to go outside. I'm not sure if he really wants to go outside. It's like 15 out there, and he was just out like 45 minutes ago. So he may just want me to come over there and sit on the couch so he can get in my lap or something. But I will. I'll just go ahead and let you know that I am going to do a class tomorrow for this 12 keys approach, so that you can learn how to do the 12 keys. Oh, you know what I think I'll do? I think that I will share a little video. It's about 8 minutes. No, how long is it? About 12, 14 minutes long. And what it is a series of quotes from people who have done this work before. And this will be a way to, for you to at least just hear from some other people who have done this work, so that you can kind of see what they think about it. So what I will do is, hang on just a sec. I'm going to stop that and come back here and start this over. And I want to share my screen, and I want to make sure you're seeing that. So let's see here. Share my screen. And not the... I thought that might happen. That is that page. Let's see what happens if I come over. Not that right there, but not that, not that. No, not that. Sorry about this, folks. I'm wanting to get over to a screen that I was just looking at, and I don't know why I'm not seeing it right now. Well, heck. Now you're just seeing a black screen with a keyboard on it. That's not right. Let's try this. There's that. Okay, we're at least back to this world. So let's try this. Let's try this thing again. So I'm going to share this. I'm going to share a screen, and there it is. So I hope that you're seeing that. No, you're not, are you? Dang. Okay, let's try one more thing. Make sure that I want you to see this, and you're not seeing the same thing that I'm wanting you to see. Well, heck, if this doesn't work, that's okay, but I think I just want to keep at it here, because you might not even be there waiting. you may be off skiing or sledding down your driveway, so you may not even be here, and you don't care what I'm doing. So I'm going to give this one more shot and see if I can make this work. So the source for this is, the scene is that. I want this to not, you know what? I think I may have figured it out. So if I come to, this is going to work. If I come to my primary display here and then find, that's going to do it. Yep. All right. So this is about, it's about 14 minutes long, and it's just a series of people who are sharing their experience with this work. So I hope that you enjoy this and is helpful in some way or other. Isn't that cute?
I think the main impulse to begin with and inspiration was the fact that I realized that you were approaching your instrument, the piano, in the same way as I was approaching the voice. And so that was very, very interesting to me, as if you were a highly conscious, evolved 4-year-old. So, in other words, from a position of wonder, presence and open-hearted confidence.
I always wanted to play the piano, and I can remember sitting at the piano when I was like 4.5, 5 years old at my friend's house, and just like playing, just like doing stuff and wanting it to be beautiful, right? I just wanted it to be beautiful.
I'm a touring musician, and I wanted to step into a place that felt really comfortable for me to be vulnerable and play music. Playing music is a very intimate thing. I'm learning.
My experience has been to play classical, and at one time I played a fair amount, not
Hey there, I am wanting to do one quick little thing here because I'm not really sure that you're hearing this. I just want to make sure that you're hearing it. I'm just going to come back to what's going to be the best way that you can hear this. Maybe it was working anyway. I wish I had some feedback from y'all out there so that I could tell if y'all are even there. I just will go ahead and proceed. I just switched the microphone so that maybe you can hear a little bit better. Okay, so let's give that a run, see what happens.
excessive. I was never good. I'm not particularly talented.
I think the main impulse to begin with and inspiration was the fact that I realized that you were approaching your instrument, the piano, in the same way as I was approaching the voice. And so that was very, very interesting to me, as if you were a highly conscious, evolved 4-year-old. So, in other words, from a position of wonder, presence, and open-hearted confidence.
I always wanted to play the piano, and I can remember sitting at the piano when I was like 4.5, 5 years old at my friend's house, and just like playing, just like doing stuff and wanting it to be beautiful, right? I just wanted it to be beautiful.
I'm a touring musician, and I wanted to step into a place that felt really comfortable for me to be vulnerable and play music. Playing music is a very intimate thing. I'm learning.
My experience has been to play classical, and at one time I played a fair amount, not excessive. I was never good. I'm not particularly talented. But every time I sat down now, I would be much worse than I was when I wasn't very good to start with. And so that made it very difficult to sort of say, okay, you have to climb back up the hill in order to get where you were. And if you enjoyed that so much, how did you get down the hill by not practicing anyway?
Yeah. Okay.
Describes by a lot that I'm kind of shot out of a cannon. I'm high energy. I'm a quick thinker.
After a while, it's kind of a dream that you put on the back shelf, in the dusty dream section of like, well, that's never going to happen. Yeah. So out of the blue, a friend of mine who was only in town for 4 months said, hey, wouldn't it be cool, because you've always wanted to learn how to play piano, and me too, I've got this friend that can teach you how to play all 12 key signatures in like an hour. And I'm like, oh, please. And she said, no, it's true.
And so I wanted to be able to open myself up and be more intimate in that way and be okay with making a mistake. And so that was really the draw.
It's just right there. With your particular style of learning, it's a little bit different than playing the notes on the page. It's along the lines of here's an array of crayons, color something, make whatever you want. You got all the colors that you could ask for. You can combine all these crayons, and you can make whatever you want to, and it will be yours.
Well, actually, it's great. We have a small place, so there is no place to hide. However, when he first started, especially when I heard about your technique, my first thought was, well, this ought to be interesting.
There are times when doing this work has taken me, further into my growing edge. Yeah, I've been fascinated watching my reactive mind and coming to know the messages it gets stuck on. There are goblins that come out. And that's the way it is with life.
I had awareness that I was more reactive instead of responsive, but I didn't have the tools to be able to shift that behavior. Sounded like it would be an opportunity for me to dig in and see if it might create a shift for me.
It was very refreshing to be able to observe the piano keys, for example, in an entirely new way, like a completely new map of consciousness, rather than, an already dictated harmonic, historically proven kind of set of codes that you couldn't deter from. So more just like really approaching the piano keys like a field of awareness, like with mountains and valleys and rivers and, as if you're walking through nature rather than, so in other words, to access your own true nature rather than to get your, knuckles wrapped for not remembering which sharps and flats were in any given key.
Since this, there's a much more calm energy that I have access to. In the beginning, to jam with people was terrifying for me. Absolutely terrifying.
And then I saw how sort of excited he was week after week. He started practicing more and more. It would go from maybe 10 minutes to half an hour, sometimes even a whole hour, maybe longer if I'm not here. But there were times during his lesson I'd have to come out and see who was playing, whether it was you or whether it was him, because it was sounding so good.
And at times I would, my mind would want to sound good, but then I would surprise myself with a note that I did not intend, and to just be surprised and okay, where do I go from here?
Once I would settle in, how quickly my awareness of like, wow, there is stuff that's on my radar. There are things in my heart that I'm not paying attention to. And just how quickly those things would come to fruition.
So then just to hear you like approaching the piano like, a planet you'd never actually walked upon before, gave me the confidence, because I realized after that teenage phase and then studying music at university and then dropping the whole thing, because I just realized that nothing short of going to indigenous communities in India and Africa was going to really help me to embody an experience of the music of life, so to speak, that I wasn't finding in my Western classical music training. So then you came in with this very accessible, apparently very simple, very empowering way of teaching the piano, which is like the most, it's an orchestral instrument. It's like the entire orchestra is in there.
I sit with really beautiful people and I just play and I'm not worried about missing a note.
I've always thought Tom had a great deal of creativity inside him that is sort of locked because, you know, his past is being a doctor and, you know, doctors stay in the box and that's cool. But your music and your teaching technique evidently has opened a creative outlet in him that I have experienced hearing. And so I'm very, very happy for him and I like what I'm hearing. So if I'm busy working or whatever I'm doing, he doesn't even bother to ask anymore, do you mind if I practice? Because he knows I always say, no, I like it.
That's great.
And that's been my experience.
How is that different from how it might have been when you first started this work?
A lot more accepting and much gentler, and a lot more trust in my process of unfolding.
And obviously the improvising is the way into it. That understanding is the improvising takes you there. It's just sort of the improvising. Every note within an improvisation is a doorway into a deeper state of consciousness, really, you know. And you just fall flat on your face a lot of the time with it because the improvising trips you up. You know, you know, because there's kind of things happen you weren't expecting to happen because your mind's not in control anymore. So I was very aware of that, and then also, but the kind of liberation that brings, because you know, like we've been brought up to believe you mustn't get it wrong. You know, you mustn't be seen to be doing something that is out of order with the status quo, etc. You know, and that's embarrassing, or all that crap.
So this brings it right to the surface.
It does. It's an unconscious. It brings it's a really, I would say it's a very fast way into the unconscious mind. You know, if you really let it go there, let yourself go there. So then you've got to be aware that anything is possible and life will never be the same again.
And hallelujah.
And thank God for that, right?
It's natural. I don't have to struggle to find it. It is now part of my way, and it's guiding, you know, the way I interact in life.
Being in that position to be vulnerable enough to share my own authentic expression of sound, whatever skill level that may be, to share that with you, it was incredibly hard. It was incredibly hard, and yet exactly what I needed in order to be able to move.
Well, just based on my experience, I would say your technique works, and at least it's worked for Tom, or it sounds like it's working for Tom. And you know, it's really cool to think about discovering your own inner musical voice. I think it's an important thing to develop. And I've never met anyone that teaches with your technique, although I haven't experienced you as a teacher. I have experienced Tom as a student, and I highly recommend it.
It's definitely enriching. It's a different dimension of self-awareness that I didn't have before.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you've been learning about the piano, and you've also been learning about yourself.
Exactly. It's a sort of a sense of power that it travels with you. It's with you, and you just have to get out of its way.
Yeah, I'm so much more forgiving with myself.
It's like a little ninja work. It's like
It's just really helped me deepen. This is a depth practice. If you're wanting to dive into the depths of yourself, this is the practice, and it's insanely rewarding, and it's also challenging, and it's also just mind-boggling how impactful it is in such a slow, profound way. So yeah, it's very unique. It's very, very unique.
Can I really get back there? Would I have to face everything I've lost and forgotten, you know, of my classical training kind of thing? Dare I return, you know? So it was a kind of dare I return conversation. Yeah. And you helped me to dare.
Thank you.
That's been my experience.
That's so cool, and so I bet that's just enjoyable for you to know that not only can he be enjoying this thing, but you're also enjoying hearing it. So
True.
it's kind of a win-win-win.
Right, and it makes me want to try it. So.
So I hope you enjoyed that. So just past the top of the hour. So just to let you know before I shut this down that there are a couple of things that you could do if you're interested. If you go to danielbarber.com, I can put this in the chat. If you would like to do this class that I call the 12 Keys with Ease, I actually started calling this Playing the Fields years ago. And let's see here, we've got another acknowledgement there. So that is a page you can go to if you're interested in taking this little class on the 12 Keys with Ease, where you will learn how to improvise in any key, in any of the 12 keys, and in all of the 12 keys within an hour. You'll know by the end of that hour how to pick a key and start playing in it. The woman who you saw in the video who played a couple of different pieces and talked about how she had wanted to play when she was 4 and she just wanted to make it beautiful, and now she's making beautiful music. And the only class that she has taken actually in all of this is that 12 keys class. And it's just so that was such a delight to show her how to do this and just see what she did with it very quickly. She just started playing and writing music and really having fun with it and doing some really nice stuff. So that is the class that I'm going to be doing tomorrow. And I don't usually teach that class anymore by itself. It's part of the larger class that is part of a 6-module course and part of a 12-module course called Sound Yourself Solo that is also available. But I'm doing the class tomorrow just as an intro. And she's Holly said that it's like five years of piano lessons in one lesson. And so I figured it out that 5 years of piano lessons, depending on rates and how many weeks and so on, but like basically 50 weeks a year, that could come to around $7,500. So I figure I'll make the class available tomorrow. And I won't charge you $7,500, but you can pay that if you want. And so I decided to make it a sliding scale. So it's from $7,500, and you can pay $5,000. You can pay $5,000 if you want. You can pay $3,000. You can pay $2,000. You can pay $1,000. You can pay $500. You could pay $100, and that would be what I've often charged for this class. She says it's worth 5 years of piano lessons. So you just sort of take that into account and what you heard her doing. So I think it's pretty easily worth $100. But if you don't have that, and if you can pay $100, that'd be great. And if you can pay $49, that's about as low as we can go. But if you want to pay $49, then you can go through that page that is on that link there in the chat, and come to the class tomorrow at noon Eastern. And I'll basically do the same class that I showed Holly, and I've shown quite a few other people over the last 10 years. And by the end of that time, you will know how to navigate the piano in any key. So it's a pretty cool way of doing it. As far as I know, I'm still the only person on the planet that teaches it. So it's pretty rare, and it's pretty empowering and liberating in a lot of ways. So thanks for being here and watching this. If you're still here, I really appreciate it. I hope it's been helpful. And feel free to reach out if you have any questions. You can just send send a reply to this video here, and I'll go ahead and check these other platforms. And I'm actually not on the right audio there. So maybe you can hear me a little bit better now. But anyway, thanks for watching. I hope this has been helpful. Go to that link if you want to take the class tomorrow, and I would really be delighted to show you this technique. It's really quite catalyzing. So that is it for now. Have a wonderful day. Stay warm and be well. Onward and upward.